Hello, and welcome back to the game room. Today I thought it would be fun to take a look at the top 10 most rare and valuable Sega CD games. With a library of only around 147 games, and the fact that it doesn't say Nintendo on it anywhere, it's not a system that you see very much out in the wild. Maybe aside from that stack of common games with horribly broken cases at your local game store. So let's dive in. The first game we're actually going to talk about is number 11 on the list. ESPN NBA Hang Time 95. Including it because it is the rare sports title on the Sega CD. It seems like most consoles have a rare sports title, whether it be from limited production or demand, or was something released late in the console life cycle. This was released in 94, so I'm assuming there was just limited production. There were 4 games released on the ESPN branding for sports titles on the Sega CD. Your other 3 are your common donor level, case donor level games. Then you got this one. It does come with a poster if you're looking for a complete copy. Just one of those fold out posters. It's the cover of the game. It says Sega CD on it. The game seems influenced by NBA Jam because it is 2-on-2, although they changed the perspective to face the basket, which I've never been a big fan of personally. If you're going to go that route, I'd rather it be an arcade game, but they're still going for a more simulation-based approach, and it's really just not very fun. There are 2 game modes. The second game mode is like an international mode where you play like the Japan team is sumo wrestlers. The English team, they're wearing bobby hats.
What up, mates?
Yeah, it's just really sad. 10, we have Shining Force CD. This was released in 95 and was the next installment in the Shining series of turn-based strategy games, strategy RPGs. This is actually a remake of the 2 Japanese Shining Force Gaiden Game Gear games that has additional chapters and gameplay added on. Get your CD backup RAM cart. Make sure you get it complete too. I feel most turn-based strategy games stand up today, and this one's no exception. The Shining games have a small, loyal, dedicated fan base. The genre itself is pretty collectible in general. This game is included in the new Sega Mini 2, which was just released. And this one is definitely worthy of being included in any Sega CD top 10 list, in my opinion. It's definitely one you should track down. Number 9. Earthworm Jim Special Edition. So it's Earthworm Jim, a pretty popular game of the era, the 16-bit era. I'm sure everyone is aware of the Genesis and Super Nintendo versions. This is a special edition, which adds an extra level. Adds extended levels. And of course you get the token Sega CD upgraded sound and music. I've always enjoyed Earthworm Jim, and this is the best version of the era. It's a 2D action platformer. I think it's a pretty fun and humorous take on the genre. I mean, I love me some Earthworm Jim. This one I feel like is shot up in price. It's always been above average price-wise, but now it's in the top 10. If you like Earthworm Jim and you're collecting for the Sega CD, snag it. At number 8, we get the first Working Designs game of the list, Lunar Eternal Blue. I'm actually not sure if it's Lunar or Lunar. I just say Lunar. Working Designs, if you don't know, is a publisher that specializes in localizations of JRPGs and have become highly collectible and sought after. If only for just subset collecting. People just subset collect Working Designs games. PS1, Saturn, Sega CD. This was the sequel to Lunar Silver Star, which was also released on the Sega CD. On the side here even says, it just says Lunar 2. It was released in late 95, so this is a late Sega CD release. I actually got this copy at a great price on eBay years ago, where I think the seller priced it off the cheap Silver Star game by mistake. But this is your classic JRPG. It's very collectible, and another game worthy being in the Sega CD Top 10. The game was also released on the PS1, but it's really not much cheaper there. At number 7, we get Lords of Thunder. This game is a side-scrolling shooter and a pretty good one. There aren't a lot of shoot-'em-ups on the Sega CD, and in my opinion, this is one of the better ones. It has a really good, rocking soundtrack. This was originally released on the Turbo Duo. By most accounts, that's the best version available, but hey, we're here to talk about the Sega CD. This game's actually pretty easy as far as shoot-'em-ups go, but a really good game for the platform. At number 6, we get to the only fighting game on the list. SNK's Fatal Fury Special. I'm admittedly not very interested in fighting games, so I don't have much to say on this one. I believe this is an updated version of Fatal Fury 2, which was released on Neo Geo and arcades. It's a 2D fighting game. It's always been one of the more rare and expensive games to track down. I believe I got this near the end of completing my Sega CD set. So it's definitely not one you're going to run across very often. We've officially hit the top 5, and we get to the worst game of the list, Radical Rex. If you have this game, you're probably going for a full set, and you probably felt bad about purchasing it, if I'm going to be honest. Shred Prehistoric Pavement. Yikes. There's really nothing redeeming about this game. It's a 2D action platformer. You're a skateboarding dinosaur. Just the worst of early 90s pop culture. The game was also released on the Super NES and the Genesis, so it's not even exclusive. It's just apparently a low print run. The case does have a sticker, if that matters to you in collecting. Just a completely forgettable game. Having said all that, this is the first game that will break the $500 mark. Ouch. At number 4, we get to the Space Adventure, or Space Adventure Cobra. This is actually the only game on the list that I haven't beaten. In fact, I've never really gotten around to even playing this game. It's a graphic adventure game. I believe it's off like a Japanese anime or manga called Cobra, the Legendary Bandit, maybe. So it's a very niche Western release, or niche, I should say. It's not difficult to realize what the game is rare and collectible, and it's definitely always been one of the harder to get titles for the Sega CD. I do need to make time for this one eventually. The Space Adventure. Here we are at the top 3, and we get to the second Working Designs game, Popful Mail. This was actually one of the first Sega CD games I ever purchased. I'm pretty sure I picked this up in '99. So the flea market in Daytona Beach, Florida used to have a dedicated video game store, and one year while vacationing, they happened to have a copy. I can't imagine I paid more than about $20 for it. I just remember that I had read positive reviews for it online. And I just happened to stumble across it, and thankfully I've held on to it all these years later. Unlike I did with most of my Sega Genesis and NES games as a kid. So anyways, this is an action RPG. It's a fun game. There was one point in the game that was very frustrating where I had to keep watching a cutscene over and over after I couldn't beat a boss. But working designs, foil cover, just an actually good game, and a very collectible game, and one of the top 3 most expensive on the platform. At number 2, Snatcher. Konami Snatcher, Hideo Kojima. Probably the most iconic Sega CD game. Maybe the best Sega CD game. I do have a registration card here for Konami of America. Just an absolutely wonderful, wonderful game. It's actually a shame this isn't the most valuable and rare game. And if the cat gets out of the way, we will go to the last game on the list. And the last game on the list, number 1, the most rare and expensive game on the Sega CD, Keio Flying Squadron. It's a cute 'em up game, released by JVC. It's always been very rare, very expensive. And at this point, it's almost unobtainable due to the skyrocketing price that just never seems to go down. Is the game fun? Yes, I would say the game is fun. It's definitely not worth its going price, which, I mean, honestly, none of these games, there's no games worth the price, honestly. But here it is. The game that will keep you from completing your Sega CD set, unless you already have it. So that's the top 10 list here, guys. I completed my set back in 2018 after collecting on and off for 20 years prior to that, basically. Although back in the late 90s, I was just buying games to play them. The idea of even collecting video games was foreign. I didn't even know that was a thing or think of it that way at all. But it's been a fun journey. I started seriously going for a complete set in 2015 or 16 when I kind of got back into the collecting scene. And yeah, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Bye.